I'm Eric Parker this morning on CT22, a Connecticut-based charity on the ground in Poland. We're talking to the head of humanitarian emergencies for Americares. He'll join us from Poland. And Connecticut's senior senator was at the Poland-Ukraine border last weekend at this time. Richard Blumenthal is telling us what he saw and heard from refugees there. We'll also be asking him about Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky's powerful speech to Congress. And Connecticut veterans need your help. The head of Homes for the Brave explains what you can do to change the life of a struggling vet. It's all ahead this Sunday, March 20th. Spring is just 3 hours away, and CT22 starts right now.
From WFSB, this is CT22 with Eric Parker, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare.
Good morning. As we watch what's happening in Ukraine, we all want to do something. And so many of you have already made donations of money or goods to the various charities trying to help. One Connecticut-based organization that has people on the ground helping is Americares. Adam Keene is the charity's director of complex humanitarian emergencies. He's joining us this morning from Krakow, Poland. Adam, thank you so much for being with us. I'm not sure a title could better sum up what you're dealing with there, complex humanitarian emergencies. I'm sure that's what you're seeing. What are you and your folks seeing on the ground there with all those refugees streaming in from Ukraine?
Well, hi, Eric. Thanks. I'm glad to be with you. And yes, we are seeing a complex situation for sure. Anytime you have mass numbers of people moving across borders and insecurity on the other side, the issues that arise range from shelter to food and water to healthcare, and that's of course what Americares focuses on. As you drive to the border from here, we're about 2-hour drive from the border. You see convoys of aid going towards Ukraine and convoys of refugees coming out in buses, cars, trains. So there's a lot of activity for sure.
Our second guest on this show is Senator Richard Blumenthal, who visited Poland, and he was just 12 miles away from where a missile strike took place shortly after he was there. You said you're a little farther from the border than that, but is that one of the complicating factors, is that even though you're across the border, you're trying to provide aid and help, but doing so right next door to a war?
Absolutely. I don't feel that we're at particular risk, even at the border itself. On this side, it's relatively secure and safe, but the people, of course, who are coming across are leaving an area of great insecurity, and we're sending aid into that country. And the truck drivers and other, people who are delivering the aid have to put themselves in danger's way, because what they're doing is delivering life-saving supplies to people who don't have any other way to get it. It's sort of analogous to the frontline workers during COVID who had to put their lives at risk to protect the rest of us. And that's what sort of, truck drivers and just delivery people are going through now.
What is the biggest need you're seeing with the refugees? You talked about your focus on the medical piece of things. Is it just general health care? Is it people coming over wounded? What are you seeing and how are you responding?
Well, there's a difference between the medical and health needs of people coming across the border and what healthcare providers on the Ukraine side are asking for. People coming here into Poland and moving elsewhere into Europe are often short of their medications for chronic illnesses, heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, and just standard health supplies. Whereas on the other side of the border, hospitals are, of course, asking for surgical supplies and implements, wound care, first aid kits, trauma kits. So it's quite a distinction, but everybody is needing healthcare. Often when Americares provides medicines and medical supplies, we ask the recipients to quantify exactly how much they need. And in Ukraine, they're saying, we need as much as you can send us. And so we're putting as much as we can onto the shipments and getting them there as quickly as we can.
And I know that's one of the advantages, having covered your organization for so many years here in Connecticut. One of the advantages Americares has is that warehouse that's stocked with many of these things. So is that something that you can provide that help, even shipping it across the border, where things that might otherwise be hard to get, you have, and you're able, we're seeing some video here, bundle those supplies up and get them there when other people might not be able to?
Absolutely. Our distribution center in Stamford and the people who work there are doing an amazing job, and our donors have also been super generous in making sure that all of the supplies that could be needed are available in the warehouse there. We also have a warehouse in Amsterdam, and we are considering moving some items to Amsterdam so that it would be a little bit closer here for speed of delivery. We're also procuring items in Poland. There are certain things that are needed even more urgently, and even with air shipments coming from the U.S. to Poland, there's a bit of a time lag. And so when we can buy locally and truck it directly across the border, that's even quicker.
One thing that I was interested in your mission is it's not just the supplies in the healthcare, but mental health is something that you deal with as well. Tell us about that part of your mission.
Well, that's right. I think a lot of people can understand that, a person's physical health is directly impacted by their and to draw the analogy with COVID, we've all been through more than 2 years now when our physical health has been threatened by a virus, but often that manifests itself in emotional and psychological stresses and strains. And that's very much the case now with people who may have left Ukraine without any physical ailments to speak of, or just standard chronic illnesses. But, when they're leaving their homes behind, their loved ones, their relatives, they are emotionally fraught. And so one of the things that we and other organizations are doing is providing psychological first aid, counseling services, and other, emotional support interventions that help provide a kind of foundation of stability emotionally for people so that they can get on with the more basic needs of their lives.
So many of our viewers are going to hear this and say, how can I help? So, Adam, what do you want people here in Connecticut watching your report from Poland to know? How can they help Americares with their mission?
Well, I think the most important contribution, obviously, is financial. When we can get flexible funding that allows us to do what ever needs to be done to get things done quickly, that is the most important contribution that they can make at our website, Americares.org. I think that there's already a pretty broad awareness around the U.S. of the issues here, but making sure that our political leaders, like Senator Blumenthal that you mentioned, and others are aware and taking action legislatively and through advocacy for refugees, but also for the Ukrainians on the other side of the border is an important thing for people to do in addition to the financial contributions.
All right, Adam Keene, Director of Complex Humanitarian Emergencies for Americares. Thank you for being with us here on CT22. And I want to show that graphic one more time. If you'd like to make a contribution to Americares to help them, specifically to help the people of Ukraine, you can head to their website, Americares.org/Ukraine. All the info you need is there.